In an exclusive conversation with Wion World is One, Taliban spokesperson Zabihullah Mujahid has said that his organization wants good relations with all its neighboring countries, including India, and will protect the Chabahar port since it is beneficial for Afghanistan. The Taliban spokesperson told Wion World is One that the organization wants India to play a healthy and positive role in Afghanistan based on the need of the Afghans. Mujahid said that it would ensure that fundamental rights are guaranteed to all the Hindus and Sikhs living in Afghanistan. Mujahid was also positive about the Chabahar port and said that Taliban values all economic projects and is committed to supporting all projects that are fruitful to Afghanistan. The Taliban spokesperson also saying that the US has shown readiness to leave Afghanistan and a meeting has been scheduled for the 25th of February to finalize the peace agreement with Washington. Mujahid also ruled out the involvement of a third party in its peace talks with the United States. India had earlier welcomed the Afghanistan peace talks and had said that New Delhi will participate in all formats of the talks which could bring peace and security in Afghanistan. Take a listen in.
See, we are very closely following the developments related to peace and reconciliation efforts in Afghanistan, which have been undertaken by different stakeholders. India supports efforts which can achieve an inclusive political settlement. In this context, it is important that the presidential election in Afghanistan takes place as per the schedule. We continue to support an Afghan-owned, Afghan-led and Afghan-controlled process. We also feel that for enduring peace and stability in Afghanistan, the terrorist safe havens and sanctuaries need to be eliminated. We will participate in all formats of talks which could bring about peace and security in that region.
And our principal diplomatic correspondent, Sidhant Sibal, who got that exclusive conversation for us, is now joining us on the broadcast live for more input. Sidhant, elaborate for us what the Taliban spokesperson told you in that conversation, specifically on the Chabahar port issue.
Well, the Taliban spokesperson spoke exclusively to any Indian news channel from an undisclosed location on Chabahar. He said that as the representative of the Afghan people, he said that we are keen to protect it, given the fact that it helps Afghanistan's economic interest on India, on ties with India. He said that he wants the Taliban want good relationship with all the regional countries who support Afghanistan. Remember, in its previous avatar in 1990s, the only country who were diplomatically accepting Pakistan were accepting Afghanistan under Taliban rule was Pakistan, and not India. India was firmly opposed to it, and we know that the minority situation in Afghanistan deteriorated under Taliban. We asked a question on if Taliban comes back to power in Afghanistan, in Kabul, what will be the situation of minorities, especially Sikhs and Hindus. He said Sikhs and Hindus have rights equal to Afghan people, and they will also be protected. It's a question which was an obvious question to ask Taliban, because remember, under Taliban regime, the Sikhs and the Hindus were asked to wear a yellow band in public places so that they can be identified easily. He also confirmed that talks were on with Americans on, of course, the pact which has been confirmed already, but he also confirmed that on 25th of February, the meeting will take place that will decide on the modalities, on the nitty-gritties of the entire pact, which can see the Americans leaving after 17 years in Afghanistan after 2001. On Pakistan's role, one question was asked by us on Pakistan's role. He clearly said that the talks are between the Taliban and the Americans. There is no one, there is no mediation, clearly ruling out any Pakistani involvement, as Islamabad has been claiming that it was pivotal to the entire talks which happened between Taliban and the Americans. So a range of issues were discussed, and of course the Taliban spokesperson replied in the first exclusive interview to any Indian news channel.
All right, stay with me, Sidhant. Stay with me. Let's also get in further perspectives onto the broadcast. Joining us this minute is former Indian ambassador to Afghanistan, Ambassador Vivek Karju. Thanks very much for joining us. And also joining us is Najib Sharifi, CNN analyst at Afghanistan Analysis and Awareness. Let's begin by speaking to you, Ambassador Karju, first about the context in which these statements come, the timing of those remarks being made by the Taliban, also specifically talking about and ruling out the involvement of any third party in the negotiations which are currently taking place with the United States.
I think the context is clear. It is the ongoing discussions between the Americans and the Taliban. As far as India is concerned, some of the comments made by the Taliban spokesman are welcome, but they cannot be taken on their face value. For example, I think particularly welcome is his assurance that they will not disturb the Chabahar route, because truly the Chabahar route is in Afghanistan's interests. But two things are clear. One, that the Taliban are not entirely independent. I think they don't want to be completely under the control of Pakistan, but their connection with Pakistan is very deep, and the influence that Pakistan has on the Taliban cannot be denied. Second, as far as their approach to the minorities is concerned, I think it was good that your correspondent recalled the almost Nazi-like attitude which the Taliban had towards minorities, especially the Hindus and Sikhs. If you recollect, it was only the Nazis who had required that the Jews should wear the Star of David. And recalling that, the Taliban wanted Hindus and Sikhs to wear a yellow cloth so that they could be distinguished. This was completely racist and unacceptable. Now, have the Taliban really evolved to such an extent that they will ensure complete equality for Hindus and Sikhs and other minorities of Afghanistan who have been part of the Afghan landscape for centuries, for millennia? So these things can't be taken at face value. My last point is that I have always advocated for the last 2 years that India should open direct conversations with the Taliban, because everyone else is talking to them and we should not be out of the diplomatic game. At the same time, we should emphasize that we do not accept the Taliban's rigid, orthodox ideology, which is truly not part of the modern world.
All right, Najib Sharifi, if I can ask you to comment on what you make of the remarks that have been made by the Taliban in that exclusive conversation.
They will obviously at this stage make comments that are appealing and that portrays them more of as a political group or a political entity rather than insurgent group. But can we take it at face value? No, because we have a history. They were making the same sorts of comments before taking over power in Kabul in 1996. But when they took over power, what happened was completely different from the comments that they were making. And secondly, it's at this stage of negotiations, they make their best attempts to create peace in the minds of neighboring countries or regional countries, particularly countries with whom the relations of Taliban has not been that friendly, a country like India. So I was expecting that they would make such a statement, but I will not trust it fully.
All right, we're going to leave it there for the moment. Najib Sharifi, Ambassador Kaju and Sidhant Sibal, who got that exclusive conversation with the Taliban. Thanks very much indeed for joining us on the broadcast. That will, of course, remain our top focus in our later editions as well.